personally had working in organizations, when the culture is clashing. And I wonder if we can talk about this for a minute, because it's not just like cultures clashing. There are so many layers of this. You know, I mean, it could be culture, subculture, one department, another department. It could be a merger, an acquisition, or it could be a team that simply reorganizes. I mean, I went through this in the phone company. And, you know, when you take an organization that's used to working together and you say, wait a minute, now you're going to move over here, folks. You're going to have a different vice president, right? We don't even stop to think about the impact of that.
We really don't. And that it's not so much that it happens, it's how as we talked about before, it's how it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I think most people, there are always exceptions, and I think most people can handle most changes if they feel respected, they feel informed, they feel that the communication's been, I always say, feel like you're over communicating, and you'll probably be where you need to be when there's change, because people don't hear it the first 3 times, or they don't, you know, so many things happen because they're feeling distressed. And I think that gets overlooked. They're like, oh, it's work. People just have to deal with it. Well, they're human, so they're not going to just deal with it. They will feel distressed. They will feel upset. They will feel scared and threatened. And when we're human, when we do that, we are not as productive. We're not as calm. We're not as creative. And that's a lot of the reasons we have culture clash, why mergers don't work, why there can be, like you said, there could be 2 subcultures clashing within an organization.
Yeah.
Because we don't take into account the human element of it.
Yeah. I want to ask you this question. You know, there are some organizations that can anticipate what might happen. That's probably not the norm. Is there a difference, you know, for you in going into organizations? Are you asked to come in after the clash has happened generally, or have you been asked to come in to say, can you help us with this organization over here that used to be part of this division? Now they're going to a totally different division, or, you know, totally different, you know, norms in the organization. How does this unfold, and what would you prefer? What would you recommend?
I'm usually called in after the clash has happened, right? Because organizations, many of them are still very reactive and in problem-solving mode, you know, so wait. And I want to make one comment that I think is so related to this, is this element of time. The leaders will say, well, we should focus on our culture, but we don't have time.
Oh, boy.
And I get that sometimes timing is important, and one time may be a little better than another time. Yeah, there are those nuances to it. And by and large, how can you not have time to focus on your culture, which is actually driving everything that you do? And so the same can come up with the concept you were just talking about, is how do organizations do this well? How do they start to understand that they actually need to plan? They need to be proactive in terms of actually planning change. And what usually happens is there's going to be someone on a leadership team that will say, we should plan this change, right? We should do something. We should have maybe an outside person come in and help us figure this out, who has a fresher perspective, is not part of the system. And that may happen, or they may be a lone voice, and everyone says, you know what, we don't have time, we don't have money, we just got to get this done, people will figure it out. And I'm not sure why, but that mindset tends to persist in many places, and people, of course, don't really figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what it reminds me of, though, too, is that each of us have an opportunity to either have a preventative mindset or, you know, how should I say it, a wellness mindset. And what I mean by that is, you know, you could be the person that buys the new car and doesn't think to check the tires, or doesn't think to get the oil change, or doesn't think to do any of that, figuring that if you just wait long enough, you'll deal with the thing when it happens, right? And then there are those people that say, nope, I'm going in on my 15,000 check. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to balance the tires. I'm going to do this with my engine. And I used to have a boss that used to say to all of us, well, you could pay me now or pay me later. And I never really got that until fast forward to the world we live in today. Because at some point, there will be a consequence for not paying attention to culture changing.
Absolutely. I mean, we see consequences already all over the place. And in people falling behind their competition, in the high levels of employee disengagement that there's so much to support that what a lot of organizations are doing doesn't work. And of course, there are shining star organizations out there. But investing in your culture is investing in the future of your organization and really investing in I think of it as the humanity of how you work with people. Oh. And that's not going to be necessarily motivating to some organizations. But there is this aspect, how are we going to treat people? How do we want to be as people in organizations? And realizing that when we do that really well, we actually make more money. We actually will make more money. It becomes a win-win. It's not let's treat people well and lose money. It's treat people well, have a great culture. Whatever in your culture is unique and specific to your organization. It's authentic to your organization. So it's never about forcing an organization to be a specific culture. It's just like a family. Families are unique in their cultures, and so are organizations. So letting that organization have its culture emerge in a really authentic way that supports everybody is actually the best way to go in the end.
Yeah. And, by the way, we're going to talk about this when we come back. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about, what can you do to build culturally brilliant teams? What is the essence of that? And very specifically, what's your checklist going to look like as you go through it and say, are we doing this? Are we doing this? Are we doing this? And are we doing that? Claudette Rowley in the house here. Culturalbrilliance.com is the website. Tuning into Cultural Brilliance Radio, the DNA of organizational excellence. We'll be right back. Wow. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By. I'm telling you, I got to pinch myself some days because when each of us gets called to do something that we so not thought was in our wheelhouse to do for a purpose that's so much greater than us, we get to show up and shine.
If you would like to show up and shine on the Dr. Pat Show as a co-host or sponsor, send us an email to inspire@thedrpatshow.com.
Sky Siegel co-hosts one of today's most popular psychic shows, Angels and Answers, with Artie Hoffman, as she communicates healing messages from the spirit world. These messages can be astounding, enlightening, and life-changing. Born with the God-given talent of inner guidance and the amazing ability to heal, Sky has healed thousands of people. Schedule a reading with Sky now. Call 908-500-1474 and visit skyofangels.com. Get into it for 2016. Do you want more prosperity, clarity, energy, and balance in your life? Join Lynn Brown now for one of her amazing workshops, each focusing on a key part of living your best life. For more information and to register for one of these amazing workshops, visit lynnbrownevent.com. That's lynnbrownevent.com. And get into it this 2016 with Lynn Brown.
What is a brilliant culture? And how do we create them? Why are they important? Claudette Rowley has created a breakthrough 5-step process to help you design a culture that is authentic, innovative, and successful. Learn how to create change with Cultural Brilliance Radio, the DNA of organizational excellence, and Claudette Rowley. To learn more or work with Claudette, visit ClaudetteRowley.com. How would you like increased health and vitality? How would you like to avoid the onset of disease as well as slow the aging process? This is all possible through a simple, safe, and natural process. Every day we are either moving toward wellness or away from wellness.
Hi, I'm Mary Jane Mack. I'd like to be your partner in achieving optimal health. Contact me now at maryjanemack.com or call 425-392-0659. Visit maryjanemack.com.
Holistic Medical Center is where you find it all. A healthy space with doctors who care, see, and listen to the whole you. Hi, this is Dr. Darvish. If you have not found an answer to your chronic symptoms, you will find answers here at Holistic Medical Center. Our doctors find the root cause of your symptoms and guide your body towards healing naturally. We transform lives from within. Visit drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404.
Welcome back, everyone. It's great to have all of you tuning us in and turning us on. So for those of you that want to find out more about the work that Claudette is doing, please go to the website, culturalbrilliance.com. If you've missed any of the radio shows, you can go to her website and the radio page. Just listen, download. Most of you are listening from either one of the 90 other channels that this is on, and we want to thank you for doing that. The other thing also, if you sign up for a newsletter, what's going to happen is you're going to get this really cool leadership mindset, and those are fabulous. For many of you out there, if you're interested in bringing Claudette in to speak, go to her speaking page and check that out. Claudette, right now we're going to talk about 4 tips, right? I love that we're able to say this, 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 and this. Are you doing them? So I just want to know, where the heck do you even start?
I started, what I think is the basis of everything. So looking at teaching people, having a team that establishes some sort of psychological safety or emotional safety is one of the first tips to having a culturally brilliant team or teaming in a really effective way. So starting to have that conversation, if it's not been had with your team, how do we create psychological safety here? How do we make this part of our team culture? How do we make it part of our greater organizational culture is an even better conversation. But what do we need to do to make that happen? I mean, that's a huge piece of it right there.
Safety, can we talk about it for a minute?
Yeah.
Because I think this ties right back into authenticity. It's got to be a place where ideas will be able to be generated. People can be creative. And I don't know about you, but generally, my experience has been, if the culture is not a safe culture, innovation is really what gets hit badly. Don't you think?
Oh, I do, because innovation, when we think, the definition of innovation, another definition of it is actually transformation, or a synonym is transformation. So all transformation, innovation require risk. So if you're not in a safe environment, to your point, you cannot innovate because you don't feel comfortable taking the risk. Because the consequences are negative if the risk doesn't pan out, if the innovation doesn't work. So in order to innovate successfully, you have got to have some safety in place. It says we know that part of innovating is taking a risk, which means we might make a mistake or fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this because, if you're an artist or you're out in the world and you do things creatively, what that looks like, it's really interesting. Even a marginal risk is a risk worth taking to just move in a creative direction, right?
Absolutely. Even a marginal risk. And so there's risk there, the 2 kinds of risk. There's the ramifications of taking a risk in your organization. And then there's internally what we perceive to be a risk, which may just be a risk for us because it stretches us. It could be a risk that we think we may perceive that a risk is not particularly safe in our organization, which could be true or not true. So it's something to check out. But there's a lot to risk. But in a safe environment, you're going to have people willing to take those risks because they know it's okay. If they feel internally challenged to take a risk, if it's safe enough, they'll actually go to a boss. They'll go to their a coworker or peer and discuss it. I'm thinking of taking this risk, but boy, I'm really nervous about it. What do you think? And so everything, even in saying that, I feel calmer, thinking about the safe environment. Yeah,
exactly. It's interesting because we have a number of innovations. And, we got our dashboard delivered the other day, and Jessica was testing it. And everybody was in on the test. And we've tested it before. And, we just haven't even come close. And this particular test was really kind of cool. And there was one little thing that just wasn't connecting. And it was so interesting to see how non-issue that was. You know what I mean? How a non-issue it was. Because the innovation literally overshadowed what wasn't being done right.
Interesting. Yeah.
This is also part of it, being able to go back to what you said earlier. You have to accept what's working really well and what's not working really well so that you can figure out how to bring it together, don't you?
Yeah, you do.